My name is Kirby Hansen, and you're watching Securely Connected. All right, well, welcome back to another episode of Securely Connected. I'm out here at Secured Connections and Wellness again, the Playroom, here to talk to you about some more concepts that have been going through my mind. I think of topics to share on these videos when families bring these topics forward, and if it seems like more than one family or more than 3 or 4 or 5 families have brought a certain topic forward, I'm like, well, people are wondering about this. I do invite you to like, comment, and subscribe, and put ideas for future videos in the comments. I do read them. I'm eagerly looking for more people to become subscribers so that this video channel can maybe take off a little bit. But for now, that's what I'm kind of going with. The other place I get ideas for videos so far is I do teach at the University of Iowa. I'm teaching a class right now called Social Work Practice with Children, Adolescents, and Families. And sometimes I'm reading the textbook and I'm like, wow, this is, and I love connecting theory with practice. So teaching at the university and practicing out here at Secured Connections is like the best thing possible for me. So the topic that continues to come up in my mind between there and here and what I've been working on lately has to do with emotional regulation and the brain. And I do enjoy sharing my sources, but if you're curious about where do I get my information and how did I come to know what I know about the things I talk about, those videos are already posted. You can go back and watch those because I want to keep these videos short and concise. But I'm going to reference the book Brainstorm by Dan Siegel. He's an interpersonal neurobiologist rooted deeply in attachment theory. He talks about trauma and attachment, and the teenage brain is what the book Brainstorm is about. And he discusses that a lot of the struggles with adolescence has more to do with the restructuring, the reorganization, the rearrangement of neurons and so forth in the brain. It's an incredible transformation that happens during adolescence, more so than hormonal imbalances and so forth. It's like a reorganization of neural pathways. And a lot of neurons are pruned during this phase of life. And then the connections that wire together and become myelinated and stay quite firmly in place for the rest of the lifespan. So it's really an important phase of life. So that being said, let's break this down just a little bit. Imagine for a moment that you have a 2-year-old in the kitchen and they begin to have a temper tantrum. They're melting down. They're screaming, kicking, hitting, who knows? And how are you going to respond? They can't calm down. You immediately think, he's overwhelmed. I need to help him. I have to co-regulate. I wonder if I can hold him. Come on, let's calm down. All right, it'll be all right. I'm right here. What do you need? Let's see what you need. Oh, good. Oh, this is what you need. Oh, you need a drink. Okay, let's get you a drink. And then you go on and they calm down and things are fine and we don't think much of it, right? And now look at this image that I've created. Look at a 12-year-old. Imagine the 12-year-old having maybe the same need. I'm not sure, but it's the exact same nervous system overload that the 2-year-old had, except for our ideas about why and what's going on and how it should be treated seems to change often, doesn't it? He's disrespectful. He knows better. He's manipulating. He's doing this on purpose. What's the matter with him? What is wrong with you? Are we sure there's something wrong with him? Maybe. What's the need underlying the behavior? And it's not about just giving them their way. It's not just doing whatever it is they're demanding, but helping them become more aware of what's actually happening in a way that doesn't, invoke more shame or pushing away or rejection sensitivity. Because as soon as we start saying, what's wrong with you? Knock it off. Stop it. We immediately are beginning to trigger a bit of this rejection sensitivity dysphoria that I often reference in many of the videos. So, all right, so in the brain, we do have a lot of pathways, billions of pathways. And during the first year of life, the first couple of years of life, new things are being learned and these connections are being made, and the brain is really quite dynamic. As the child ages, goes to age 3, age 6, 7, practice strengthens pathways and skill increases, and kids get better at things. And they still have this very much magical belief. You can kind of tell them almost anything and they'll believe you. It's really interesting. And then when they go into adolescence, things begin to change just a little bit. Pruning is the process by which those neuron pathways that don't get used as often get trimmed away, much like you would prune a tree, like a bonsai tree, to make it look really great, or just your regular trees. If you prune trees, it's to help them grow stronger and so forth. What happens during this pruning process is neuron pathways that aren't used as often get trimmed away, which allows the other ones to get used more often, and then those that fire together, those neurons that fire together wire together, and this fatty sheath gets, formed over the top of it, which is like a rubber wire coating that helps things run more efficiently and sends messages even faster. So while all this reorganization is happening, we're still trying to raise our adolescents here, and they're not always doing so well with that. All of a sudden, they're having emotional surges, and they're confused about why things are happening the way they are. And when we might say something like, "Why are you doing this?" and they say, "I don't know," they actually might not know. All right. And so early in life, the brain creates a whole bunch of neural connections. Think of it like a overgrown forest. And at first, the brain builds more and more connections than it actually needs. Why? Because the experiences in life are going to determine which pathways are going to survive. And the experiences the child repeats, the emotions that they experience often, the relationships that they live within, help shape what neural pathways survive. So then during adolescence, this is when people really start to get confused, because the teenagers often look older, but neurologically there's this heavy construction going on. Okay, so their emotional system of the brain is highly active during adolescence. While this pruning process accelerates, the identity formation kids experience intensifies, social sensitivity increases, rejection sensitivity increases, peer belonging becomes incredibly important, and emotional pain feels enormous. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that's responsible for impulse control, for long-term thinking, for emotional regulation, flexibility, reasoning, and the place in the brain where is this a good idea or not takes place. It's like lights out. It's still developing. So what do parents see when they're asking them, "What's the matter with you? What is wrong with you?" You'll see eyes rolling. Maybe the door slams, sarcasm. They shut down. Explosive reactions, risky behavior, withdrawal, defiance. And, sometimes it's easy for the adults to believe that they know exactly what they're doing. This is premeditated. This is well thought through. They're doing this intentionally. Look at the look on his face. He is really trying to get under my skin. And in reality, look at this face. It actually sort of does look like that, right? And for a minute, what I want you to do is consider what's happening on the inside. What's happening when your teenager, your adolescent, when I say teenager, this is the time, it starts like before that. Like we're talking 10, 9. They're experiencing tunnel vision, confusion, racing heart. They're overheated. Their muscles are tense. They have difficulty finding words. They're not able to think very clearly because something is happening to them. Even though they're not in danger, their body is experiencing the sense of felt danger. And while that might not make sense because there's no danger, that's why it's so confusing for you and for them. So I've drawn up an image. It's a little bit rough, of an amygdala and a hippocampus. And I do teach kids about the amygdala and the hippocampus and how within the hippocampus are all these memories that are stored in the form of felt sensations associated with danger, so that when these events come up, we can be prepared for danger. And when we prepare for danger, our whole body goes into this, this mode of survival and fight, flight, and freeze. And so we know that when this system becomes activated, we have a reappropriation of all kinds of resources within our body. And to symbolize that, I've created a few images that I like to share with you today. And these are young people who look a little bit angry. Doesn't he look kind of mad, right? And what's happening, though, is when he's triggered, his hippocampus is open to all the things he's experienced. And it's telling his amygdala, you're in danger and you need to fight. You need to fly. You need to freeze. Sometimes you need to fawn. But a lot of times what we see that really gets us under our skin as caregivers is when they want to fight. And the body is reacting to this alarm system. It is saying, danger, and it's sending all the resources out to solve this problem, to just, extinguish this fire. So what happens? The eyes dilate. The breathing picks up and is more rapid. Hearing becomes more sensitive. The digestive system actually starts to shut down because it takes a lot of energy to digest our food, let me tell you. And when there's an emergency, there's no time for that. We have to send all the resources to the limbs, to the feet, to the legs, to the arms, to the fists. And when all of this energy, this adrenaline is now just pumping through the system, it makes you want to hit something. It forces you to want to kick something because all this energy is just flooding to your extremities. And we say, stop punching the wall when you get angry. And the individual who's punching the wall is like, I can't, I don't know why. And honestly, to tell you the truth, they likely very much so don't know why. And as caregivers, we sort of want to fight back because they are attacking us verbally, sometimes physically. And that's where it gets really, really, really hard. What is it we're to do? I'm going to ask you to do something that almost seems impossible, and it is to be nurturing to your teenager who is kicking and screaming and hurting things and wants to say all the meanest things. When they're 2, it seems like we can do this fairly well. When they're 12, it feels really hard to do this, even though quite likely that's what they're needing. When we say, knock it off, stop that, quit it now, we're triggering their rejection sensitivity, which is just fueling their belief that everything is falling apart and their fight, flight, and freeze system needs to be revved up. It's like pouring a little bit of gasoline on the fire. And so what is it we can do in that moment where we can help our young person get back into some level of awareness, activate the frontal cortex, whatever it is that they've got available to them, to be able to get everything back online, to get the hearing not as sensitive, to get their eyes not so dilated, to get their breathing regulated, to get the energy that's just wanting to pump out through their fists and arms and legs to just simmer back, get the adrenaline down, the cortisol needs to flow away. And we can get our youth re-regulated. Now, we want that to be with us as the caregivers, if possible. If we can't co-regulate them, sometimes young folks, adolescents, will find another way. And some of the ways they find are not always the healthiest, safest, and most effective ways. And so this is like asking for something impossible when I say, how can we be that secure base still for our adolescents when they're dysregulated? It's a tall ask, but it is something that we work with families all the time here at Secured Connections and Wellness. It isn't just what the caregiver needs to do differently. There are lots of strategies that the youth can use during those times when they can identify that this is happening to me again, and doing that in a way that they'll listen and they'll hear and believe can be a little tricky, but that's what we do out here at Secured Connections. Sometimes it looks like play therapy. Sometimes it looks like we're having fun, and you're like, why are we having fun? Things have been horrible lately. And at the same time, if we just keep butting heads, it's going to continue to just not necessarily go so well. And how do we get there? Well, we get there through mindfulness. We get there through relaxation strategies, and we get there through connection. Secured connection and wellness is all about connection, and we know that connection is the intervention. Now, you might be saying, I don't know how long we can keep doing this. This is so hard, but there is hope. There is hope. The good news is, right? The good news is the adolescent brain continues to develop. It does not stay in this state of reorganization and rearranging forever. It's a phase that lasts through 16, 17, 18 years old, and then the frontal cortex continues to develop and refine itself and become more sophisticated through the early 20s. But as your youth grows, as they get older, as they become more integrated, more efficient, more regulated, the important pathways are strengthened. We're going to want to strengthen these pathways that involve things like self-regulation, and we want to help them reinforce these pathways that have to do with I can do this, I am capable, I am smart, and not the ones that are associated with I am bad, I am no good, I've messed everything up, and I should just give up. We inadvertently, without meaning to, sometimes our society, our teachers, our schools, our legal systems reinforce these beliefs in youth's mind that they really are not worth very much. And how do we get that turned around? Well, it starts right away with us. It starts with therapy, it starts with the caregivers, and we can support during adolescence because connection is the intervention, and together we can make a difference. So thanks again for joining me here at Secured Connections and Wellness for another episode of Securely Connected. My name is Kirby Hansen, and until next time, I'll see you later. Goodbye.